Okay, so next we're gonna make some little claws for the toes and the hands, and maybe even some little tiny teeth for them. So I have these shapes here in mind, and it's gonna be a wet process. So I have a little crock pot here, but what you can do is just designate a cup. This is my dirty studio cup. I put water in, just fill it up with a little bit of water and boil it in a microwave. And then you can drop in your friendly plastic pellets. So there we go. Moldable plastic, friendly plastic, non-toxic thermoplastics. One of my favorite new discoveries, so to speak. Oh man, some of those balls are kind of squishing in not the best direction. It's kind of late. Okay, I can still squish them around a little bit. It's still real sticky. And man, that stuff stunk. So I didn't want to get it too much more of it on my fingers, on my skin. But yeah, so the idea is the claws are gonna go right on top of these beads. We're gonna stick them on there. So I'm gonna set that to the side. Have my thermoplastic over here and off camera. It's very hot, and I'm just gonna grab some of the melted beads. Comes out of the vat, so to speak. A lot of water involved. So there we go. So there's the melted thermoplastic. So I'm just gonna grab some of that. You can just grab a tiny bit at a time too. It's not a bad idea. And I have little tongs here, um, and I got some paper towel handy. So if you've got, you know, a roll of it, working it, it's I'm still figuring out how to work it best. But I think if you get a little ball of it, um, and I'm on a cutting mat here, so I can easily slice this back into little balls. And what type of it comes in pellets, right? So if you wanted to, I think it'd be better if I just put a few pellets at a time. But I got overzealous the other night and I dropped like a ton of pellets in there. I was like, oh geez, what did I do? So there we go. So I'm just kind of rolling this on the my cutting mat and see if I can um, get a shape that I'm happy with. So it has the extremities the extremities cool off faster and get harder in a relation to the thicker parts of the thermoplastic. So and it picks up dirt really easily when you roll it on whatever surface. So just kind of be aware. There's a lot of factors going in here. So yeah, all of that was way too much. I just want like a little bead of it. So let me just start off with the bead, a couple beads at a time or something. There we go. You can see there I got my little speck of dirt in there again. Not sure. There we go. So if I can just get a tiny little piece of it, and there's a little fang right there. And then as it cools, my little foot drawing over here. Here we go. Don't want to get it wet. There's my toe claw. Um, but as it cools, you want to kind of curl it and shape it, and it tends to follow gravity a great deal. So there we go. There's a little claw. So a few ways to tackle that. One is to just get a rounded surface and just let it dry on top of that rounded surface if you want. And then if you want the claw to go in a certain direction, so get your reference out. Your claws, toes, you want like a curl, like a scythe, like a cat's claw or bear claw versus a flatter one versus a hoof. Um, with a fangy little tooth. There we go. See if I can get any more off of there. Make sure that's in a safe spot, out of the way of the water. And see if I can dab another. Yeah, just like a, oh, what do you call the sticks? A kebab stick or something, toothpick you can, or chopsticks. Work really well. If you're adept with chopsticks, those are great to fish stuff out of there. So there we go. So I'm kind of looking at what I need to cut still. There we go. And when you cut, it'll compress the friendly plastic. So it'll kind of, oh man, you can't see that at all. Maybe down here on camera. Yeah, but it'll kind of compress the sides and So you got to be careful it doesn't flatten in such a way that is not what you're looking for. So I'm going to do like the big toe and the claw, cut a piece there, maybe cut a diagonal back behind it. Go. And then have this little piece that's kind of compressed where it cuts. So again, I'm going to flatten that out like a toenail. Maybe I had one on the toenail, and then the end. I'm just going to twist it in the end of my fingers and let it curve. So yeah, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing maybe I'll need a different camera setup so you guys can actually see what I'm doing here. Cut the other one, and you can see like where it hardens in areas, like it creates like a little stiffer area. So it depends on what you're making. Spikes for a dragon, claws, teeth, fangs. This stuff's great. I learned this from Patrick, is it McGee? And it's the Stan Winston guy did the zombie masks videos. They're really great videos. And he did a lot of the Walking Dead masks, which I can't imagine how many masks you end up making for a set like that with all those actors and all the extras and kind of one-offs and quick ones. So yeah, there we go. Careful, like I said, the ends usually really droopy, so you got to kind of make sure that you get a shape that you're happy with before it cools all the way. So in each one I make, I kind of set it off to the side and just make a set. I got 10 toes to make in successive sizes, and then same thing for the fingers. And then I was going to do two claws or two fangs that kind of stick out, and looking for my chopsticks. I don't see them handy, so I'll just keep using my little tongs here. The thing with these tongs is the thermoplastic sticks to the tong, and then um, it just creates like a crusty tip on the end. And so I'll endeavor to better system. But it was leaving a thermoplastic coating on all my chopsticks too, which then the thermoplastic would, of course, adhere to the chopstick, thus kind of defeating the purpose. There goes a long, skinny one. Oh, I'm getting off camera again. And then I can just cut behind the length where I know more than I need, so I can, have that up in the digit of the finger. So I can cut there, and there, and then if I want a certain thickness, I can just kind of roll out that middle piece to the right thickness I want. And then same thing, I want to get at least one curl in one direction. I'm not sure where yet. And then if there's like a little hair or the little thin wispy string piece towards the end, I'll trim that off at the end. It doesn't sand well. I tried. It's not really sanding. Plastic is kind of eh. So you want to keep that shine, that polish, that fresh out of the crock pot smoothness. That's where it gets that kind of enamelly, like where it makes a good tooth or claw because of that property. So you want to remember that as you're making these. So I'm going to keep going here, and as it pulls up, just going to be extra careful with my terry towel underneath here that we're not going to have water running anywhere in the studio that it shouldn't be, depending on what you're working on. Take any of these big globs off as I go. Tap, tap. Get the ball off the end there. Those ones that are curled nicely, I want to be careful not to move them while they're still cooling. So I'll get like a little noodle of it started. Grab my knife and let's cut it into somewhat proportional lengths, like based on the toenails, right? There we go. So I just made 4 pieces in pairs, and then I'll just roll one side sharper than the other. There we go. Same thing with that one, and you got to kind of go quickly because they will cool, and then they'll have different. They'll get lumpy. Like the cooled area will come off from the main body of the plastic, and then the main body is thicker. Um, won't bend as much. You get like a little dip. You get like a little lump in between where it's thinner and thicker. So you kind of want to avoid that by rolling gently. Like when I feel the tip of that's already kind of eh. But at the end there, I just kind of slide. Oops. At the end there, I'm going to slide a little hook on there, a little curl for each of them. Roll it in my fingers and give a little curl. There we go. And we got a little pile of them going, and I should match them up, like biggest to smallest. But sometimes you definitely want the big toe and the thumb to be distinctly bigger size. But a lot of times the other ones, I'll just make a bunch of these, and then I have like a pile of them to draw from, and I think that's a good way to work. So, having said that, I don't know that any of these really represent that nice big thumb or big toe yet. Yeah, see the big toe is pretty good size. So let's do that next. Let's do big toe. Pinch one end, pinch the other end. A little sharper, being careful not to push too hard. Then, nice fat big toe. Yay. There we go. And I'm gonna like flatten them just a little bit. Just kind of press down slightly. And now you can decide which is the top and which is the bottom. And I'm going to kind of push up. Oh, that might be a good shape. There's one big toe. And same thing, push up a little. There we go. There's kind of like a curl sometimes coming up from the digit where it connects to the end of the toe, or the finger or the thumb. There you go. You kind of see the curl I got going on there. Yeah, those will make some pretty wicked big toes, I think. Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's keep going. A few more to make. I'm gonna carefully, very, very carefully. And too much precision for this would probably, I've gone back and forth and made them and melted them again and make them. And you can remelt the stuff like infinitely, right? Let me move my camera back a little more. So that gives you a lot of flexibility, but then you could also sit there and like redo them over and over. It's like at some point you just got to maybe pick a simpler, easy way to do this that you're happy with, and then go from there. So for this one, I think on that note, I'm going to go a little fatter on the end, and each one as I cut it off, I'm looking at my drawing here. I'm leave it fatter, and then I'm going to just kind of roll the tip there with that, and then I'm going to maybe squeeze the nail part. So there we go. One, roll the end. Maybe try and do both ends this time. There we go, and roll a little flat. Roll a little flat at the end. and then kind of squish it down. Let's see if I can just kind of rub that, kind of stroke the piece so it curves around the shape of my, um, around the roundedness of my finger. Whoops. If it's pulling, if it wants to go a certain direction, then let it go that direction, I think. There we go. Yeah, I like those shapes much better. So I'm gonna continue that, see if this is cooled too much or if I can still hold that fat guy. Now I can just take this and see if I can get this closer to the camera. And I can just dip one side into the hot crock pot water and then, ooh, I dropped it, dang. You dip one side and then grab it and dip the other side. But yeah, it's really hot, so it gums up fast. So it's got this really cool, this thermoplastic has this really interesting melting temperature, like where it softens up and then stiffens. And then once it stiffens though and cools all the way, it's quite strong. I was shocked how strong this stuff is. So you can make parts with this. It has a translucency. The reason when I was watching Patrick's video in San Winston School on the zombie masks, yeah, I was like, it looks like real teeth when I finished. I was like, oh, dude, I got to do that. That's awesome. So yeah, shout out to Pat. And there we go. So again, pinch that end and give it a little twist. Got a little curl. Oh, I'm gonna pinch it a little more. It seems to go flying. They're so tiny. This is like I said, apologies for the camera if it's not super clear. Um, when I do the eyes and the fingernails and stuff, I'll look into some different setups. So I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna just carefully dip one half in and pull it out, and then just bring it back up, and then yeah, now it's softens up right away, and dip the other half in. So if you ever done pasta noodles before, similarities to doing some pasta noodles. There we go. Two, maybe run the tip just a little tiny bit more. There we go. And then working my way down the hand and foot. Kind of lost track which one I was doing. I think I was doing the hand, this one. Takes a minute, takes a while to do all these. You got 20 of them to do, but man, it's gonna look really neat when it's done. And I had like a little phantom flyer from Dungeons and Dragons, like a little golem, Cthulhuoid looking creature, and I did all the little hooks in the claws and the wings, and a mouthful of fangs. Yeah, see, if it gets too stringy like that, it's not as useful. So, and then it won't adhere back to itself. It'll kind of come apart in strips. So at that point, I'll drop that in there, and I'll just get a fresh little blob of friendly plastic, thermoplastic. And again, watch out for those stringy bits. Maybe dab some of that water off. There we go. Yeah, dried up pretty fast. Nice, kind of smooth. You want that smooth, enamelly kind of tooth and claw look to it. So let's see, I'll go a little. And as soon as you get it off in the smaller pieces, that's when it cools faster, right? Because it retains that heat. So I'll do one, two, and I'm going to just cut straight down through, cut straight down and through. There we go. And then take those to the side for a moment and just roll some more. One, two. And if you feel any hard edges, then that's when you gotta put it back in the crock pot or your little hot teacup. I don't know about microwaving this stuff. I say just microwave the water separately, and you know, have some kind of tools to retrieve the plastic from the water that's, near boiling. Doesn't need to be boiling, just hot, nice and hot, simmer. So I use crock pot. There we go. I continue to roll the very tips of them. There we go. Some sharper than others. Don't want to be too uniform, right? No, what kind of wild boy, whatever little porcupine sprite creature we're making here, they're probably not doing their nails right. So there we go. I'll flatten that out a little. So yeah, maybe the base, maybe the top thickness should be, descending, and which one's bigger, or but the length can vary, right? It could be, I don't know, whew, almost dropped it. It could be uneven and more naturalistic, more bestial for this guy. Continue to roll this in. If it gets that little blobby or unevenness, then you stop and throw it back in and get another one. I think that one's going to be okay. Yeah, that one's a little less sharp than the others. So that's a pretty good start. Get a larger glob of it and do some like porcupine quills. I think I'm gonna put some quills coming up out of his back. And it will go faster if you do bigger pieces like that. And I think if you're doing little stuff like that, it's reasonably priced. Like you can, why is it sticking to the paper so strongly? Wow, I'm expecting that. So yeah, so I'll just kind of roll this out. And it does contour to the bones and the hand really well. So, maybe so I'm rolling it on a flat surface. Yeah. Oh wow, it's sticking like crazy now. What is going on? Ah, why is my mat so sticky? All right, I'll have to peel this up and come back. My mouse over. Okay, we're back. Yeah, this stuff is really adhesive. That's surprising. So, generally speaking, I work on a piece of glass with water with this stuff. Same with the when we start doing the latex, because it's less likely to adhere. So as long as there's a bead of water here, yeah, see, wow, no, it likes that mat. And you see, it's really, when you get to longer pieces, you got to kind of tease the length of the stuff out. There it goes, and it's still so melted that I just have a long strip of this now. I'm just gonna go for some porcupine quills, and but I don't want it to stick to my surface too much. So if it touches just a tiny bit, there it goes. There's that stringy quality I was talking about. And this takes a minute to, um, there it goes, figure out how to play with this stuff. Right? So yeah, you could do hair follicles with it. If you want something bristly is the word I was looking for. I want to make something like a bristly. So as I pull, it's cooling. I can just kind of ball it up here and see if I can get it to keep a shape. So I'm going to set that down for a moment. Let's see what kind of shapes I'm getting. This is a cool shape here, but again, it's sticking to the mat. So I need some water and glass. So, and then it'll like pick up all my little pieces. So let's maybe come back to that. Let me get a piece of glass. Let me come back to that. Let's see how many little teeth and claws we got on there. If I take this and dip it in the water, I can shape the end. It's just it starts breaking off, so you got to be really careful if you want to fine tune any of the shapes on the tips of these things. I wouldn't go too crazy. Um, it's gonna look really neat anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about. But yeah, you could sculpt this stuff. This is a step in the process. This is another material to expose you all to. So hopefully you can come up with some fun extra designs. So I take my little ball and you want to squeeze any air pockets or trapped water and get it back in there and let it melt all the way. All right, and we'll come back and see about sticking these onto the puppet.